Hi, my name is Dylan Loonsfoot. I'm a GRCC student here. I'm also an 8th generation Potawatomi basket maker, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a basket. I got my materials all laid out here. I had to travel to Wisconsin or Minnesota just to get the black ash tree now because the emerald ash borer has wiped out all the trees around here. But I'm going to get started. I have my bottom pieces already cut out. I have separated them into two groups here. I have the 4 strongest, and I'm gonna put them in a shape like a X-like shape. Like I'm gonna do a T or an X, and I'm gonna go cross there again and another X to get it started. I'm gonna follow it up and do the same thing with these other ones. I want the stronger ones at the bottom because they'll have the majority of the weight and strength to withstand all the other bottoms and tension that's going to be on the basket. I'm going to take my starting piece, I'll put it underneath one of the bottom ones. It's crucial that you make sure it's underneath one of the 4 you start with, or else it won't be as sturdy and strong as you would like it to be. I'm going to make my way around, tucking it as tight as I can. You want to leave a little tail so you can tie it off near the end. Now that I get back to the start, instead of just going over and under, I'm going to go over 2 on the inside and then go back under so we can keep going around and around. But before I keep going around and around, I like to take a clamp after I get it around, tighten it, and then I want to start back where I started at and try to get this as tight as I possibly can so the bottom isn't loose. That's one crucial thing you want to make sure. And again, when I hit this spot, I want to go over 2 again. Usually you want to go at least 3 times around on the bottom to make sure it's stable. Some baskets you can get away with 2, but it's very rarely you can. Because then that kind of tightens on itself and holds itself there. And then I'm going to trim this piece down just so it stays there. Then we go back to the piece you left earlier, and you go over and you do the very similar process. This one you can just kind of tuck in and through it. Not as much needed for this one, but it's still there. Sometimes people go back around to double and kind of tuck it in and keep it there. Now I'm gonna wet this down just so they're easier to bend. I want to bend these all up so I can form the basket shape, because right now it's just like a star almost. As it can tell, some of these don't want to stay as up, but it will be better in the long run. That will still be good right there. First 3 pieces you usually put on are usually the toughest because the basket isn't holding its shape. I'm gonna just stop it right here. I want to go at least over under 2 more, then I can cut it right here so it can hide behind that one. And then when I start my next piece, I want to just flip the basket to the other side so I can start it over here and it's not as tight or tension on the same side. And then when I start the next piece, I just go in front of just opposite side, so I'm making it like almost like a... Sometimes when you're starting it, the piece will jump up from the other one, and that will be okay. You'll just have to keep going. And now, since I kind of got the shape going, I'm going to pull these back and kind of straighten them out a little bit so I can keep the shape from going inward or outward. I want to keep it, trying to keep it going up in a straight line. I believe this is a blue or something. I can't see blue, so I think that's really funny. And we're gonna just do the same thing, but with this color now. Each time I'm going through now, I'm making sure I'm pushing it down to make sure I can get as down on the splint in the basket what I can. So it's tight at the bottom, so it stays, so I can get as many pieces on here. It was thicker than the ones on the I used for the bottom, so it was having a hard time holding it in place. We got the same pattern going at the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to fill it in with the whites right before we end it. When you're cutting them, you want to make sure none of them would stick out when you're looking around on the outside. Bend this down and then just kind of get it behind each and every splint I can as I'm pushing it down through, because this is holding it into place and locking it in there. I'm lining it up beforehand. That's what I mean when I'm looking in there beforehand, before I'm cutting, and see how it fits behind that green one. That's how deep I'm gonna go. So I don't really have to like measure. Sometimes you can shape it with your thumb beforehand if it is a really tough piece. Get it. All of them are tucked in. Basket's kind of sturdy. Now we got everything. Dump out all the pieces from earlier. Now this is the basic shape of the basket. And you want to pull it as tight as you're going up. Wow, that's fine. I'll fix that in a second. I should clamped it down, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna. In between the top, so like you can go behind the back piece right here. And you want to kind of make sure the smooth side, see there's a smooth side and a rough side. You've been wanting to make sure the smooth side's always the side that's been seen. You want to put it down And just like we were earlier, just pitting it behind pieces, that's what we want to do, but that's not all of it. We want to go down a couple. If I can get down a couple. Right, now that I got it down there, I don't want to just leave it like that because that's not super tight. If you pull up on it, you want to take it. I want to take it, pull it through a little bit, and I want to bend it back up like I did with the bottom earlier when I was making the bottom. And I want to get it through the piece up here so I can lock it kind of in place. Maybe I'm gonna put it through the next one just so I can not lose how I had it. But when you get to about here, before you do that, I like to form my shape first just so I know where it's gonna bend and how it's gonna bend. So now that I've formed it, I can pull it through tight, and it helps tighten everything. And then I'm gonna pull this one through again. And now it's still underneath here, but now it's not as visible. And then, so the next one will go here, and the next one will go here. And you want to make sure when you're doing it, you go under each the front and the back piece so you're tightening it together. We didn't do it here because that was our lock, but I'll explain why we didn't do it here. I'll show you in a minute. Now I'm going to undo this next clamp. Go just like how when I was weaving, I went through like over 3 more even after I finished it to help secure it. I'm gonna do the same here, but when I bend it, I want it to kind of go on the same line as that, so like bam. Now it's in place. Now it's tight and locked there. Now I just take this piece. I can just trim it off right at the bottom. Now I can take this off. Now we got the basket almost done. Get it through, make sure everything stays good, and just like everything else, I want to go over it a couple more times just so the locks aren't right next to each other and it's more sturdy and more stable. Still kind of see it, and I like to try to trim it a little bit more so you can't see it as much. You got a basket.